Terrorist life is my motto. It's what I live by.
Bell shot and killed Charles Martin during a home invasion robbery in East Price Hill about 3 years ago.
Every day I wake up, I do what I want to do. I live how I want to live. I cherish my life by my definition. When my eyes close permanently, I want everybody to know that I want them to cherish life.
For the 3 years that I've been here, I've seen a lot of people come and go, and usually it's the same faces, the same people over and over. And sometimes I get upset because I'm wondering, like, why can't I get a second chance?
But that's why I got it on my eyelids. It's really a final message. It's the first message and the last message. Cherish life.
What is your emergency?
Ma'am, there's been a shooting.
How many people have been shot?
One person been shot.
Is he awake?
Yes. Can y'all please come?
They're on the way there.
I had a good childhood. As long as our grades were good in school, then they gave us whatever we asked for. I didn't drink, smoke, or nothing like that. I did stuff like bowling or movies, shopping, travel with my family. I'm always attracted to the person that stands out the most popular person, and he was the most popular person at the party. Everybody knew who he was, and everybody was like all over him, like, oh, who is that? I mean, there were red flags and warning bells ringing that I chose to ignore, but it's like the forbidden fruit. You pick it and you eat it anyway.
Our cameras were there tonight as that murder suspect turned himself in at Cincinnati Police District.
Cincinnati police and prosecutors say he's the man caught on surveillance video at the Western Hills Walmart, killing a man execution style.
Homicides are up 91% year to date in Cincinnati.
So there have been nearly 200 shooting incidents across Cincinnati so far this year, with more than half of those incidents taking place in just the last 3 months.
Now at 6, a shooting in Mount Washington leaves 2 people dead and 2 others critically hurt, including the suspect.
Me and my boyfriend, like, we were out one night and he just made a stop, and whatever he did is what he did, and that landed us here. I was waiting for him to come out, but he didn't, so the police ended up coming instead.
The record shows that Bell and his girlfriend, Annishia Smith, engaged in a scheme to rob individuals that they thought had drugs, money, or both. The first victim, Brandon Ward, met Smith at a club. Ward and Smith exchanged phone numbers and later arranged to go on a dinner date. Smith and Bell kept in contact by texting. The original plan had been to rob Ward in the parking lot of the restaurant. But Smith noticed that Ward, who had a concealed carry permit, was carrying a gun on his hip, so she texted Bell. Bell instructed her to take him back to her apartment in Butler County and get him in the bathroom. Smith followed Bell's instructions and had sex with Ward in the shower of her apartment. Before Ward entered the shower, he removed his gun and holster and left them in Smith's bedroom. When Ward came out of the bathroom, he saw a tall black man, later identified as Bell, holding the gun. Bell demanded that Ward empty his pockets. He then took Ward's phone and money, as well as the gun, and left the apartment. Smith pretended that she was also a victim of the robbery. She told Ward it was her baby daddy, Josh, that had robbed Ward. She later acknowledged that Josh was not her baby daddy and that she had lied about him being involved. A few months later, a Cincinnati police detective called Ward and told him that his stolen gun had been used in a crime in Hamilton County. Subsequently, Smith met Fabian Mitchell, an admitted drug dealer, and became aware that he carried a substantial amount of cash. She arranged to meet him at his house for a date. Mitchell lived in Price Hill at 930 Enright Avenue with his 2 roommates, Charles Martin and Trenton Calloway. Bell drove Smith to Price Hill in a white Chevy Lumina and parked down the street from the house. Smith walked up to the house to meet Mitchell.
I pretty much was in the car for the majority of the time, but there was a time that night that I was in the house. When somebody tell you that they're about to do something like that, you don't really think, oh, they about to go. I didn't believe that's what the outcome was going to be that night.
She trying to paint herself as an innocent person, like she didn't know what was going on and everything. She lying. You would have never seen her coming. She was 18, about to graduate. She came off as innocent. That's the easiest way to get robbed, through a female. You might think like you just about to go kick it with a girl, you know, chill, probably get some, and you don't know, like it's a dude in the closet waiting on you. Like, you would never see it coming. It can happen to anybody.
When she arrived, Martin and Calloway were lying on the couch in the front room. She passed them as she and Mitchell went to Mitchell's room on the second floor. While she was with Mitchell, she continued to text Bell to tell him the layout of the house. As to the roommates, Bell texted her, "Don't trip, they gon' die." Later, Calloway and Martin went upstairs to their rooms on the second and third floor, respectively. Smith saw them and spoke to them briefly on the stairs. After Smith and Mitchell had sex, Mitchell had to leave to conduct a drug deal. He asked Smith to go with him, but she refused and stayed at the house by herself. Smith texted Bell to tell him that Mitchell was going to leave and how he could get in the house. Bell texted, "You gon' hear 2 gunshots, that's me killing his brothers." Calloway awoke from a deep sleep when he heard his bedroom door creak. He saw a man in a white hoodie standing in the doorway. The man shot Calloway in the shoulder. Calloway rolled off the bed to avoid gunfire, and he heard the man say, "Lay down and die." Though he was bleeding profusely, Calloway stood up to confront the shooter, whom he later identified as Bell. As Bell left, Calloway then heard him say, "Come on, Annishia, let's go." Calloway then went up to Martin's third-floor bedroom to find that Martin was dead. He had been shot in the head as he slept in his bed. Smith fled from the scene and ran to the car. Bell ran out a short time later and joined her there. He asked her to come back into the house. When she refused, he insisted that she return to the house and show him where the valuables were located. When they returned to the house, Bell told her that they were running out of time and that she should grab items in the front room. They then fled from the house again, carrying a television and a video game system. Neighbors who had heard gunshots called the police, who responded immediately. When Smith and Bell saw the police cruiser, they dropped the stolen items and took off running. As the police officers turned onto Enright Avenue, they saw Bell, wearing the white hoodie, running. The officers chased him, and after a short pursuit, he laid down and surrendered. Officer Yvonne Gutapfel placed Bell in the back of her police cruiser. Bell told her that he and his girlfriend had been running for their lives because they had just been robbed at gunpoint. When Officer Gutapfel learned of the shooting victims inside the house, she read Bell his rights and took him to the criminal investigation section to be interviewed by homicide detectives. The police officers found Smith hiding on the floor of the Chevy Lumina parked down the street. They also found a gun, which they later determined to be owned by Ward, lying in the yard of a nearby house. A criminalist determined that both Smith and Bell had gunshot residue on their hands consistent with firing a gun or being in the vicinity of a fired weapon. Another criminalist determined that while Smith was excluded as a person who had left traces of DNA on the gun, Bell could not be excluded.
When I first caught this case, I scratched in my name and David Bell's name into a desk in the first cell that I was in when I was in intake.
When I look out this window, it's like my mind opened up. I can see the world moving around me. I want to go back out there and move with the world. While I'm sitting in here, I'm standing still. But out there, I'm moving with the world. And here, this dead time. Out there, that's where I'm alive at. I know what I did and did not do. And I did not kill anybody. I did not shoot anybody.
Smith and Bell wrote numerous letters to each other while both were in jail awaiting trial. They discussed Bell's plan to blame the crimes on Reek Robinson, a former friend of Bell's whom Bell believed had robbed him. At first, both Smith and Bell told police that Robinson was present at the scene and had fired the gunshots at both Martin and Calloway. Subsequently, Smith decided to cooperate with the police.
I was communicating with him at first, but then when I came to my senses and thought about everything. When everything hit me, that's when I stopped. He told me several times, not to say something or told me what to say, but I did my best to refrain from discussing the case because whatever I would say probably can come back to haunt me.
She turned Bell's letters over to the police and acknowledged that Robinson was not involved in the offenses. Robinson was also excluded as a person who had left traces of DNA on the gun. A subsequent search of Bell's residence recovered photographs of Bell with a gun similar to that used in the shootings and ammunition of the same brand as ammunition recovered at site of the offenses.
If they ask me to testify and all that, I'm still thinking, because I don't want to try to bring the next person down just to give myself up, because I'm not that type of person. But at the end of the day, you have to do what's best for you. I have to think about my son, what's best for me, and what's best for him. It's like a choice. I have to choose my co-defendant or I have to choose my son. It's pretty tough to see him, growing up. Kids change, their features and everything change. He was here last week and he asked me, why am I in jail? I just told him, the bad people arrested me and brought me here, and now the good people got to get me out.
Annishia, yeah, if he got on the stand and lied on me.
What did you say?
A whole lot of lies, just a lot of lies. I can't remember everything, but first he tried to say she scared and afraid of me. I was very controlling and jealous boyfriend and all this one stuff. He tried to put it all on me.
I pretty much was. I had a lot of reasons why I decided to tell what happened, but I did know that it would help me. What good is it for me to just keep sitting here trying to cover for him when everybody already know the truth? It's just going to get me in even more trouble. The main thing that makes me feel guilty and that I regret is not calling the police, because I could have prevented this all. And I know that I'm guilty for not putting a stop to it. And also, I did lie and cover for him. I should have never covered in the first place. I feel like I made the right choice by testifying, because at the end of the day, it all boils down to my son, and I should be out there with him instead of being in here trying to cover for somebody.
She a snitch. She a snitch, and I hate that about her. I would have never did this to her, no matter what. I love Cincinnati, but at the end of the day, from what I'm seeing, this city might as well be called Snitchinati, because that's basically what's going on, a whole lot of snitching. The jury came back with a verdict of guilty on all the counts, all the charges. No, it's not what I was expecting. I was really shocked, because I thought maybe I would get found guilty on some charges and not others, but yeah, I got found guilty of everything.
Based on the evidence, it was appropriate for him to be found guilty. I mean, it was a no-brainer what the outcome was going to be, and I think that he knew what the outcome was going to be. But by him being a man anyway, they have pride issues, so if he is feeling hurt or feeling pain, he's probably not wearing it on the outside.
You're now a convicted murderer.
Yep.
You thought about that?
Yep.
What's it feel like?
I was already basically labeled as a convicted murderer when I came in with the charge.
But now?
So now it's just official.
Does it bother you?
Nope.
Why is that?
Because I know I'm gonna get out one day. It's not that I don't care, it's that I'm past this moment. I'm thinking of the future.
Into our newsroom now. A jury has recommended life without parole for convicted killer David Bell. He was found guilty of killing Charles Martin during a home invasion this past Tuesday. Martin was killed in 2011 in East Price Hill. A judge will now determine Bell's final sentence.
All right. I think they might give me 30 to life. I don't want to say 25 to life and jinx it.
We are back on the record for the jury trial of the state of Ohio versus David Bell.
I'm really not sure what he's going to be sentenced to, but I do hope and pray that it's not the death penalty, because I don't wish that on anyone.
We, the jury, being duly impaneled and sworn, do hereby find that the aggravating circumstances the defendant was found guilty of committing does not outweigh the mitigating factors presented in this case by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. We therefore unanimously find that the sentence of life imprisonment without the possibility of parole should be imposed upon David Bell. Signed, all 12 jurors with the foreperson in the 12th. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, you are excused from your duties in this jury, and you are no longer under sequestration. Thank you so much for your service.
When I was sitting in the courtroom, I almost died, like I almost was sentenced to death. It just gave me adrenaline rush for real, like, I don't know, it was funny for real. Because prosecutors were so thirsty, basically trying to kill me. They probably mad when we didn't get them, and now, still alive, so what can they do, man? What can they do? Like, I'm still alive.
My mom told me that David had got life. I'm not sure if I'm going to be sentenced based off of how he's sentenced. Worst case scenario is I would have to go to prison for a few years. But I don't believe that it would be drastic.
I hope Annishia get out. She got a son out there, so she need to get out. When that day come, I'm gone, and they see cherished life on my eyelids, they gonna know, like, oh yeah, he went through a situation where he really cherished life. I'm happy that I can finally put this stage of my situation behind me and get on to the next one. Right now, I have life without parole. I know I'm not getting out anytime soon, but my definition of freedom is different. As long as I'm alive, I can pretty much take anything that comes my way. I don't feel like you lost if you learned a lesson from it. I don't care what it is, what type of loss it is. If you learned a lesson from it, it's a win in my book. So